It's actually pretty nice, eh? So I can adjust like this and then get started. This is very nice. I've been meaning to make this video for a while now and I'm super excited, so let's just get started. I've been journaling twice a day. So that's morning after I wake up and evening before I go to sleep. Every single day, almost without fail, since 4th of July 2022. We'll come back to that date and why it's important a little bit later. Now, 500 days is a lot, and I've also learned a lot in that time. So I want to share some of those lessons with you. But before I do that, I'll talk a little bit about my history with journaling. I have my notes here to guide me, so sit back, relax, while we talk about journaling. So I had notebooks as a child, and like many people, I journaled a little bit then. I think many people had some kind of diary that they wrote in, and I had the same thing too, but it was never continuous, it was never consistent, and it was never a big part of my life. It was something I did once, maybe twice, and then it fell off for many years. Many years. So in 2019, it came back as a daily habit, but I couldn't get it to stick at that time, so it fell off again. By this time, it was around 2020, I was already clearly convinced of its benefits and its positive impact in my life, but like I said, I couldn't get it to stick, or so I thought. So coming to July of 2022, this was after an intense conflict with a family member. I had to bring it back. A lot of it felt like going back to my old routines. It felt almost like reconnecting with my childhood because, I'd been journaling when I was a child. It felt like coming back to truth, finding myself. In a way, it's like journaling was telling me, I've always been here, you've always known this is the path you'll come back to. So welcome home, my child. And that is how it felt. It felt very welcoming. I felt like I was back in my groove. Again, at this point, I already knew and was enjoying the benefits of journaling. So it was just about making it now a consistent daily habit. And that's exactly what I decided. On a random day in July, I just said, I'm going to go back to journaling. And this time, I'm going to stick to it. So since then, it's been more than 500 days of writing down my thoughts in hard copy on a piece of paper. And that's the kind of journaling I prefer to do. And it's been such a learning experience. I should also mention that I do keep a micro journal on my phone, which is just a note that I have where I can type one sentence about how I'm feeling. And it's nowhere near as extensive as what I write by hand. So these are my journals, and as you can see, the one from July was just a random book. And it was a notebook that I was using. It had, all manner of school notes, and I just picked a page and decided to start writing, and I've never looked back since. So in that time, I've learned so many things that I've tried to condense into 10 lessons in this video. They're in two groups. The first one is more of the short-term lessons, so we're talking 6 months to a year. And then the long-term lessons are the benefits I've felt from a year moving forward. The first lesson is journaling is such a cleansing ritual. Julia Cameron, the author of The Artist's Way, put it succinctly when she said it's like spiritual windshield wipers. There is no way to easily put it into words. It's such a refresh, it's such a way of clearing your mind that, as someone who was prone to overthinking, was prone to being stuck in my head a lot and feeling like I was an unwilling participant on a roller coaster of thoughts, has been so impactful in my life. Journaling has fundamentally changed the way I perceive reality, the way I exist in this world, because I'm struggling to find ways to describe it, but perhaps an example will help. When I wake up in the morning and I journal, it feels like I'm starting the day on a blank slate, because of journaling the previous night, where if I had any doubts, I get to write them on the page. If I had any worries, anything that was stressing my mind, any thoughts that continually kept on popping up, something that I was working on mentally or spiritually, some kind of stressor, there is an aspect of writing it down that is like dumping it, and in a sense clearing your mind, because you're no longer carrying the weight of that thing. So imagine ending the day like that, where all the affairs of the day, you end them at that point. I've been struggling in a way to remember what I did the previous day, because once I journal, like, that day is over. We're not going to go back to it, we're not going to rehash it. All the business of that day is done, and now we start today fresh and clean. That's not to say I don't think back on some of this deeper introspective stuff. If it's really calling to me, it will come back many times. But I'm comparing this to the Eric of several years ago, who would be stuck on minutiae from the previous day. Something someone said, something I saw online, something that happened to me, and my mind would just continuously ruminate on this thing. Such a difference. I'm glad to say that that is not the case anymore, because, like I said, it's spiritual windshield wipers. You just clear the mind and start on a blank slate. And the same applies to when you're starting the day. It's a new day, new opportunities. If you failed the previous day, it's a chance to start again. It's a chance to learn. So you're just setting yourself up to have a clear mind. The second thing that I've learned is that journaling is a healthy way to process your emotions. I should speak for myself. It's a healthy way for me to process my emotions. I've already mentioned how there's a certain power in writing things down, especially on paper. But there's a whole other level of power in describing your feelings and your thoughts. There is something almost esoteric about it that, again, I'm really struggling to capture these spiritual concepts in words. But there is that power that writing things down has, in that for me it makes me lighter. It makes me see things more clearly. I can be more rational, and of course, describing how you feel makes you more self-aware. Again, I'm sure many people have struggled with emotions, with handling difficult ones especially, where you perhaps don't even know what you feel, or you don't know how to describe how you feel. But if you're able to put a label to it, we're able to understand it a bit better. I think as people, we like to categorize and put into groups everything that we see. So the same applies to emotions. When I've found myself now in other moments of distress, this is not just my morning and evening practice, but some other time during the day where I'm experiencing some intense emotions, I've picked up a habit of getting my loose leaf pad, opening a blank page, and just brain dumping everything. How I feel, that is emotionally, physiologically how I feel. Is my heart racing? Am I sweating? Am I anxious? And just putting it all on the page. There is something very, rewarding, uplifting, or relaxing, I should say, about doing that, because you feel like a weight has been taken off of your shoulders. The third lesson is that I've become more mindful and more aware of the present moment. You can only write so fast, and if you're anything like me, your brain works a lot faster than your hand. So I've had to tame the pace of my mind so that it can match that of the hand, and that takes you being really present in the moment and spelling each word out as the stream of consciousness or the thoughts that you're dumping onto the page come into your mind. It slows you down by necessity. I'm used to being something of a busybody and always up to something, always doing something, always checking the time. So journaling is a time where I get to just relax, slow down for a little bit. I love when I have loads of time to journal, where I'm not hungry, I'm not pressed. I just can sit down to build my thoughts and slowly write all there is to be written. It's a very grounding process, which I think helps me think more clearly. Lastly, in the short-term section, of course, it has made me more introspective. As someone who tends to psychoanalyze myself almost to a fault, I think journaling is exactly the kind of practice that I would be drawn to. It has helped me develop a deeper understanding of how my mind works. It has helped me also develop a deeper relationship with myself. The next 6 lessons have come to me over time. I attribute this to the habit that I picked up actually from another YouTuber of, at the end of every year, I take all my journals and I read all of the entries. It's a nice ritual to reset, close the year, start a new one. It's a nice ritual also that helps me do something of a review of myself and just see the growth over time. So having done that twice now, these are the things that have stood out to me. Number one, it helps me identify patterns in my life, common threads or common themes that keep popping up. I'm able to now, in retrospect, pinpoint all those instances where something keeps reoccurring. And as a data analyst, that's very valuable to me as someone who's always also trying to optimize his life, because it gives me insight into the kind of person that I am. What kind of issues do I keep facing? What role do I play in creating the circumstances surrounding those issues? how do I handle them? How do I learn from my mistakes? How do I grow? These are all questions that have been plaguing me, I should say, every time I go through my journals. The next one calls back to something I'd already touched on previously, and it's my mental mood overall has just improved significantly. I cannot overstate how good this has been for me. For me, I think it's gratitude, practicing gratitude in my journals, as well as gratitude meditation, has again fundamentally shifted how my mind works. Now I am someone who is much more at ease. I'll try to describe it this way. It's like peace. I feel almost no stress at all times. I feel like I'm in a state of tranquility, serenity, contentment. I feel like I am okay with myself. My relationship with myself is okay. I am okay with where I am in my journey, my place in the world, my relationship to the world, and my relationships with other people. I feel just fine, like I'm where I'm supposed to be. Remember, I talked about being this anxious person who's always worked up all the time, strung up, tense, coiled up like a spring about to explode at any moment. I felt that way for a very long time. And the trippiest part is I thought that was the only way to live. I didn't know how good it could feel. It's the saying, some things you don't know how badly you need them until you finally get them. Yeah. Another interesting thing has been watching this journey of me documenting my own life. Now I've gotten to the point where, because of my most recent review actually, I question what kind of details of my day should I keep in, which ones should I omit. Sometimes during the day I'm doing something like cutting an onion and I'm wondering, wow, will I remember this moment a year from now where I was cutting an onion? Probably not. Should I write that down in my journal? The fact that I thought about this? I don't know, but it's so interesting to read the story of my own life from my own perspective as it evolves. It's not like an autobiography that's a done deal. Journaling is a living practice of doing. So it's so interesting to see how my journaling evolves, how my life evolves with it, the kinds of different journals that I use. The most recent one, the current one that I'm using, looks like this, and I have been loving it so much. It's a hardcover, not like the previous one, which was soft. So, minute details like that. It has this bookmark. The pages are bigger, so I have more space to write. Just the process of documenting my own life, and also through videos like this, is interesting. I always wonder, 5-10 years from now, I struggle to picture even what it would be like 1 month from now. So who knows what 1 year is going to look like, right? So I think a crazy thing about this existence, no one can predict the future. So let alone 1 year, imagine 5, 6, 10, 15 years, 20, 30 years down the line. If I preserve this book and keep it well and seal it, keep it free from dust and mites and water damage and fire, what will it be like to open this and read about my experiences on Saturday, 16th December 2023. I don't know how to describe that feeling. It fills me almost with a sense of awe, a sense of wonder, a sense of curiosity for the future. It's very, very interesting. But moving on to the next point, which actually is something in opposite of what I just talked about. Documenting my life makes me also contemplate death more. Yeah, it's a bit morbid if you choose to see it that way, which is completely understandable because the thought of death invokes an uncomfortable feeling in us. You know, no one likes to think about their own death. No one likes to think about death in general. So that's how it is, but it's something that we must all reconcile with. To quote the famous philosopher J. Cole, everybody dies. One day I'll not be here. One day you'll not be here. One day all of us, we're gonna pass, man. So I've been wondering, who am I going to leave these journals? Who's going to be reading my life when I'm gone? I wonder what they'll think of me. What kind of lessons they'll pick up from the ramblings of a 20-something-year-old. I should write in my journals to the people who will be reading my journals after my death. Maybe I should write a letter or something just to say hi to the people of the future. I wonder what life will be like then. Yeah, so it makes me think about stuff like that. Who's going to inherit this story? Will they make a movie out of it? Will they make a book out of it? What kind of impact will this have? Yeah. Actually, tied to that, there are some who say philosophy is supposed to make you feel that way. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Proponents of this argument say that as much as philosophy is a comforting thing, it's also something that should push you, something that should make you strive. You know, a lot of it involves a lot of reflection, self-reflection too. Really getting into your own psyche, questioning how you're living through this life. You know, something that should hit home every time. It shouldn't be just this fun pastime thing. It should be something that makes you really reflect, and it makes you really ponder and think continuously every single moment. How can I be better than I was yesterday? How can I do something today that improves on the Eric from yesterday? Philosophy is this thing that pushes you out of your comfort zone. It makes you want to do better, to live a virtuous life. So philosophy has also been filling me with that. It's a lot of different things. Philosophy, journaling, I use them interchangeably there, but it does fill me with that. Sometimes it feels like a fire of motivation, but other times it feels like, not that I'm being too hard on myself, but the standard is here and I'm here. It fills me with that drive to want to bridge that gap, you know. I should say that you never really get there. There isn't a trophy at the end, and there isn't even a finish line per se, because the process of self-improvement is continual until the point you die. So perhaps I shouldn't be too hard on myself, or what's the word I'm looking for? Or think or judge myself too harshly if I perceive that I am not reaching those goals. But instead, I should look to those goals as an aspiration, an ideal, something to always look up to. Lastly, I want to talk about the power of mantras. A mantra is a phrase you say to yourself repeatedly, and in this context of journaling, of the way I journal, it looks something like this. So the way I've set up this journal is similar to the way Clark Kegley, a fellow YouTuber, does his journaling in his program. So I'll leave a link to a video of his if you want to check that out. But basically, the front inner page of the journal for me has some things to do with my identity, some phrases, some quotes to live by, some reminders, some admonitions, and some values of things that I should always prioritize. And then the back page is the goals that I'm working on at that time in my life. And like I said, this journal is something that I open in the morning and in the evening. And when I do, I open the front inner page, and then I go and open the back inner page. The cumulative effect of doing that every day for an extended period of time, it feels like magic. This is what people are referring to when they talk about manifestation. The impact of seeing your goals morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening, it pushes you to work towards them. It pushes, even if it's not something that you intentionally do. I've come to learn, for me, a lot of this manifestation stuff is really just reprogramming the subconscious. So even if that day, and there are many such days where I cannot read the entire contents of the inner page and the entire contents of the back page because it's a lot. I just open the journal and flash and close. I open the front page and flash and close. And subconsciously it does something where these goals that you're working towards somehow, almost insidiously, but maybe I should say perniciously, but those words have a negative connotation. Subtly, your life starts to align with them. Your mind will start to just find ideas that will lead you towards your goals. Maybe when you're asleep, maybe when you're showering, maybe when you're walking about randomly, you meet someone, you strike a conversation with them, and from there, a connection can form that will just direct you towards what you're looking for. And the universe has so many interesting ways of bringing things into our lives. Sometimes it's not even your conscious effort that manifests something, but randomly you'll see on your timeline, for example, the algorithm gods decide to bring you exactly what it is you're looking for. It's trippy to think about. It's so trippy to think about. And that's just the goals. Now, on the other side, about quotes and phrases to live by, it helps. I'll say it helps me to have these things at my fingertips, because in moments of distress where now your mind is like this, you can't think clearly, it helps to have these things just calm you down and reset you. And now that I think about it, actually, journaling also works in a preventative way where you will, maybe I should use meme often, where I will less often get to heightened emotional states. Journaling and also meditation combined keep me at a very calm, even level. I feel like I'm always even keeled. But going back to the phrases, when that training or my experience in meditation and in life is not enough, and in any case it happens to all of us as humans, we're emotional beings, when I feel I'm maybe in a state of panic or crisis, it helps to have these phrases just here. And there's something about ancient wisdom and proverbs that I've been loving of late. These words are so simple, but yet they carry so much truth. And I guess that's the best kind of wisdom, because it's also timeless and it will apply to everyone. For example, I have in my journal, actions speak louder than words. At this point, it's almost a cliche. A lot of them actually are almost cliches, but when you take time to really think about it, actions do speak louder than words. Another one is 2 ears, 1 mouth. Speak less, listen more. It's so simple. It's so simple, but it carries so much truth to it. I don't know if it's one of those things where you need to have your own personal experience with it for it to for you to let it sink in, or for it to have a personal significance in your life. I don't know, maybe there are people who think it's just it's just a proverb, what's the big deal? But for me, as someone who's a deep thinker, it's been interesting now, using all the knowledge that I've learned in my journey so far, to piece together a picture of the universe, to understand the workings of this world, and to see like the hidden truth in just how profound I feel like I'm making it out to be so deep and so monumental, but that's how significant it is for me. Actions do speak louder than words. Let me look for another one. Something I heard from a friend of mine who quoted her uncle: suffering is inevitable, misery is a choice. It's so simple. It's so simple, but yet, isn't that the truth? I can't avoid suffering, no matter, even if who you are. Another one, less is more. Just 3 words. That one specifically for me is a big deal, because I'm someone who suffers with intemperance. I tend to overeat. Sometimes I feel like I can't stop eating. Sometimes I tend to oversleep or just overdo things in general. So learning to cut back and to act in moderation, it's a huge deal in anything you do in life. In fact, it's one of the 4 Stoic virtues, one of the pillars of a philosophy that these people believed will be a way to live the good life, is temperance. Moderation is key, right? Another cliche. Think about that. Moderation is key in anything you do. Another one is you can't pour from an empty cup. This one is almost, of course, obviously you can't pour from an empty cup, but for me, it's always a reminder to take care of myself first. I have to look out for me first before I can take care of anyone else. Even in a plane, if and when there is depressurization of the cabin, the masks will fall from above, and they always tell you to put on your mask first. Even if you have an infant, even if you have an elderly person beside you, even if you can help someone else, they always tell you to put on your mask first. So it's the same thing for me. You can't pour from an empty cup, Eric. You have to take care of yourself first. Psychoanalyzing myself now. My notes are done. That's all the rambling I had for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know if I'll make more. I was thinking of making more videos, so actually let me know if you're interested in more philosophical content like this and what kind of video you'd be interested in seeing. The next video I might make would be on stoicism and my personal journey and relationship with it. So, let me know also if you'd like to see that. That's it. I'm very hungry. I'll go eat chapati and beef stew that I made actually on my other channel. Shameless plug. You can check out all my cooking content here, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Take care. Hope you have a great rest of your day. But for now, I want to I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, so I'm super excited to tell you about. But for now, I want to so let's get right into it. I've been journaling. I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, and this is what people talk about when they talk about manifestation in life in general. I think